Hi everybody, this is Neeraj K. Raheja, the founder CEO of the Ray of Light. I extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Ray of Light, and I begin this video by extending a very warm welcome to all of you. The Ray of Light is basically an initiative which was founded in the year 2024 Jan with an attempt to help and reach out to people who are suffering from various kinds of psychosomatic illnesses and disorders. As we know today in the world, mental health and wellness has become a issue of gigantic proportions, as a result of which there are thousands, if not millions, of people all over the world who are suffering from extremely high levels of stress in their lives on a day to day basis, which can be brought on by various factors like work pressure, financial pressure, interrelationships, family issues, or a combination of these. As a result of which, it is very imperative for us to understand that mental health and wellness is a top priority these days, and it's unfortunate that it is the most neglected. So the idea is the Ray of Light was basically founded to help and to reach out to people all over the world who are silently suffering from various kinds of psychosomatic illnesses and disorders like generalized anxiety disorders, depressions, manic depression, suicidal tendencies, schizophrenia, bipolar. Doesn't matter what the scientific terminology is, but what matters is I know for a fact that anxiety can be devastating to the human system, absolutely devastating to the human system, and it can disrupt your entire life in a jiffy, and it can make it come to a screeching halt. All aspects of your life can absolutely collapse if anxiety is not nipped in the bud and if it's not treated rightly. And my aim as the founder and the CEO of the Ray of Light is to reach out to people who are silently suffering across all corners of the globe. I'll tell you why anxiety is a very dangerous, if I might use the word, is because any mental problem, first of all, the patient who is suffering or the person who is suffering cannot absolutely and clearly relate their problems to a facilitator or a doctor or a counselor or anybody that they are seeking therapy, cure, and relief from. So the nature of the disease is such that the latent tendencies, the emotions, the feelings, the physical symptoms cannot be accurately and very lucidly communicated because the person who is suffering, himself or herself, doesn't actually know what it is clearly, or they cannot put a finger to it, as a result of which it is kind of vague. And because it is kind of vague, communication becomes difficult. Here is where the prowess and the experience of the facilitator or the therapist or the healer comes into the picture. Now, having said that, there is also, especially in India, there is a lot of taboo related to mental health and wellness. Young people, elderly people still hesitate to actually reach out for help when they are suffering from mental health issues. As a result of the taboo and the social stigma attached to it, people hesitate to reach out, and by the time they actually reach out to help, it is kind of too late to intervene, and they are put on psychotic drugs, which might be habit forming and very difficult to retrieve them from that. So the idea is the Ray of Light as an initiative aims to reach out to people with years of experience behind it. So basically, if I were to give you a small introduction of who I am and what I do, my name is Neeraj K. Raheja, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Ray of Light. The Ray of Light is basically an initiative which is backed by almost 13 years of empirical study, research, and life experience. By the grace of God, I have been blessed with the life experience of almost 14 years, where I've had the opportunity to delve deep down into some of the most profound aspects of the human mind, the phenomenon called the human mind, and a whole lot of great revelations were opened up to me where I understood what the human mind actually is, the phenomenon of the human mind, as a result of which led me to deep introspection and analysis and research, which made me realize a lot of things about our lives, and thereby I was able to understand why a certain person goes into the trap of, or rather the never ending vortex of negative emotions, and gets trapped in negative emotions and gets trapped in fear, as a result of which he or she is not able to lead a complete and a fulfilled life. So, having gone through that entire journey, which approximately lasted 14 years of my life, I came up with the Ray of Light. The Ray of Light is an initiative which actually helps people using the modality that we use over here is a combination of spiritual wisdom and what I'd like to call experiential psychology. So, backed by life experience, I was able to pull myself out of the darkest phases of anxiety ever, and without the help of psychiatric drugs or psychotic drugs. And I was able to actually uh, raise myself, lift myself out of that crazy dark phase which was full of pain and suffering. And I'm happy to say that I was able to rise like a phoenix from the ashes, having gone through all the pain. And not only the pain, along with the pain, since I was open to learning and I devoted my entire life so far to uncovering the dark mysteries and the secrets of the human mind, which is basically the basic teaching and the learning that we are going to offer at the Ray of Light to help people all over the world who are suffering from psychiatric issues, mental health issues, and even high levels of stress, to pull them out of that and enable themselves to lead a happy, normal, and happy life, which is replete with harmony and balance in their lives. Because we as human beings, as you know, deserve nothing less. So, coming back to the Ray of Light. Now, why did I decide to do something like this? Is because I actually, as a person, know how devastating anxiety can be to the human system. It can absolutely shut down every aspect of your life and bring it to a complete standstill. And I've experienced that in my life, and I know the pain and the suffering related to that. And I went from pillar to post, asking for help. I was ready to do whatever I was asked to do, but I only wanted to pull myself out of that phase of intense darkness, suffering, and pain for myself and for my family. So I wanted to do that so badly, but I reached out to so many people from various walks of life, professionals, healers, therapists. But ultimately, you know what helped me? What helped me was the discovery of what the human mind is. So, unless we unravel the mystery of the phenomenon of the human mind, we cannot understand what happens when our mind is unwell or when we are in total control of the mind. So, anxiety and depression and other psychosomatic illnesses are not necessarily based on maybe it goes beyond a wrong lifestyle or choices. Yeah, they can be added reason why you're suffering, but then the fundamental reason why we suffer is because of ignorance. And ignorance of what? Ignorance of the fundamental reality of who you are, or who we are as personalities, as entities, as living beings. Once a person truly understands that basic understanding will open the doors towards higher understandings and revelations, which will help him or her actually pull themselves out of the phase of anxiety or depression, and actually um give them an opportunity to look at life the way it is really is, and not how it is projected, but the way life actually is. We have to understand that. So, having said that, I told you that it is all based on understanding the fundamental reality of who you are and fundamental understanding of the mind. Now we'll have to go deeper into what the human mind is. Okay. So firstly, we'll have to understand that the brain which is physiological, which is tangible, which is physical, is completely different from the mind. So when I'm referring to the word mind right now and henceforth, I'm referring to the collective consciousness called the mind. So basically, the mind is the sum total of all the experiences, memories, knowledge that you have gleaned and mustered so far in your life, the corresponding emotions, feelings, thoughts along with those, all the experiences that you have had so far in your life, not only with relation to this particular life, but everything that you have experienced so far. You might believe in the theory of reincarnation, you might not believe in the theory of reincarnation, but whatever that you have experienced in any form, any external form, the sum total of all those experiences, memories, knowledge, and the corresponding emotions and thoughts and feelings along with those experiences, the sum total of all of that, if it was gleaned and accumulated, that would basically be a part of your mind, not the entirety of your mind. The mind is beyond definition, but this is what mostly the mind is made up of, and this is what we call the active mind. This is the state in which most people function in our day-to-day lives. So this active mind that actually controls our lives, that rules our lives, is formed, or rather the content of this mind is the thoughts, and these thoughts have their origin in the sum total of all the experiences, memories, knowledge, and the corresponding emotions, thoughts, feelings of these experiences that you've had so far for maybe millions and billions of lifetimes, until you have manifested as the particular person, Mr. or Mrs. X. The sum total of all of that forms the content of your mind. And now you have to realize how significant this entity is. And whatever we call our life and however we perceive the world, we do not perceive the world directly. We perceive the world through the filter of this mind. Now, when we perceive the world through the filter of this mind, obviously our perception becomes contaminated with these preconceived notions, thoughts, feelings, experiences, memories, knowledge, which already is there, embedded in the mind. So we are perceiving the world, but not as it is. We are perceiving the world through the filter of the mind, and this mind is already having all these experiences and the corresponding thoughts and emotions related to these experiences. That is exactly the reason why sometimes we might have experienced this. Most of us have experienced this. Suddenly, there is a certain thought that comes out of nowhere, thoughts of jealousy, thoughts of anger, thoughts of lust, thoughts of insecurity, which we never ever thought actually existed within us. Suddenly, it comes up to the surface like a bubble, and it catches us absolutely unaware. I'm like, and you're like, suddenly, oh my God, I didn't know this something like this existed within me. Why am I feeling jealous? Oh, why am I angry at this person? I thought I was beyond jealousy. I thought I was beyond lust. Where are these thoughts and feelings coming from? These are coming from that part of the mind that I mentioned a few minutes back, that, like I told you, the mind is a repository. It is a huge repository of all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the emotions, all the experiences, memories, knowledge that you have accumulated so far through the zillion or the million years of evolution that has actually made the person that you are right now. So that is the human mind. So at the outset, we should understand what we are grappling with. What are we actually dealing with right now? That is most important for you to understand. How are we perceiving the world? Who are we in our essential fundamental nature? Are we the body and mind, or are we an accumulation of panchabhutas, the five elements, or are we something beyond that? So this question will basically open the door towards greater levels of introspection, and that introspection will actually take you to the answer, which we will come to much later in our sessions. But for now, I want you to understand that whatever you perceive to be your life, whatever you perceive to be your life situation, that perception is not absolute in nature. It is tainted by the filter of your mind, and this filter has multiple layers. And whatever you perceive passes through these multiple layers, and accordingly gets influenced by the nature of these multiple layers, as a result of which we find ourselves you might find yourselves to be not so in a perfect condition. Most of us, I mean, if you go around and ask people, how are you doing and how's your life, they will immediately launch on this never ending tirade of issues, problems. My life situation could have been better, my job could have been better, my marital relationship could have been better, my finances could have been better. And everybody has something or the other that they wish was in a better situation, and they are not totally happy about their existing situation in life, simply because they confuse life with life situation, and their perception is tainted by the filter of the mind. So at this point, it is very important for you to understand that what you perceive is not absolutely true. It is relatively true. Yes, you are married to someone, you are having a job which has difficult circumstances, you might have various issues or problems in your life, but all that is related to the life situation, and that life situation is related to how we perceive life through the filter of the mind. Now that you understand this, what can be the apparent solution to your problems, which is played over and over on a day-to-day basis, and they keep accumulating in intensity, and there is no outlet for the same, and you keep repressing the same, you keep pushing it down, and then as a result of which, one fine day you wake up with full-blown anxiety, and you have panic attacks in your life, and you feel that life is crumbling all around you. You've lost your vitality, your energy, your vigor. You think life is not worth living, and suddenly you find yourself in a never-ending vortex, a dark vortex of negative emotions, fear, and this fear breeds more negative emotions and more thoughts, more negative emotions leads to more fear, and you're caught in this never-ending circle where you're going deeper and deeper, and it's a miserable state to be in, because I've been there, and you cannot hold on to anything, you cannot grab anything. Life seems absolutely insurmountable. You feel absolutely hopeless and helpless. This is one of the craziest, darkest moments that you can ever experience. And if this phase sounds familiar to you, or if you've been living all your life in extremely high levels of stress, then this video becomes extremely relevant to you, because you'll have to start uncovering and unlearning all the things that you thought you knew about life. And unfortunately, these are not taught in universities and schools and even professional acclaimed colleges or universities. This is something that you have to uncover and discover for yourself. You will have to understand what the phenomenon called the human mind is, and in that understanding lies the answer to all your questions. In that understanding is the solution to free yourself and to extricate yourself from the clutches of the human mind, because it's true that we are all enslaved to our minds to a great degree, and it is these latent tendencies in our mind which is actually running our lives. We are not authentically free. We may harp about freedom of this and freedom of that, But all the harping about freedom on a superficial level does not make any sense at all. It is absolutely irrelevant as long as you have not understood the phenomenon called the human mind. So we're going to discover a lot more about the mind in our next session. So I'm extremely glad to have reached out to all of you. The Ray of Light will continue posting such illumining and revelationary videos which are loaded with a lot of spiritual insights and experiential wisdom which that I have gleaned over all these years, and which has enabled me to extricate myself from the clutches of my mind and the negative tendencies and the fear and all that darkness that I had experienced in my life, only to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. And once I rose like a phoenix from the ashes and conquered the tendencies of the mind, I told myself that I'm going to take this knowledge to the world. I'm going to reach out to each and every one of you to enable yourselves to pull yourselves out of the face of darkness and live a life of energy, vitality, and strength. Live a life of joy, harmony, and balance, because we as human beings, I strongly believe, deserve nothing less. So thank you so much for watching. This is Neeraj K. Raheja, the founder of The Ray of Light. And we have a dedicated website. It is www.neerajrajani.com. And I'm really glad to have reached out to all of you. Please stay tuned. More interesting videos will follow. Thank you.